very famous rabbi, well-traveled rabbi. His name was Rabbi Avraham Cohen ben Dod דה-הירירה, Zecher Tzadik Libracha, one of the famous philosophers and rabbis and Kabbalists of his time, very, very well traveled. He was born, I believe, on the 4th of, in the year 1562, I believe, and he would pass away on the year 1635, on the 4th of February, respectively, in Vienna, in Austria. He was born in Livorno, I think, according to some opinions, in Tuscany, in Italy, respectively, and came from a family of the Spanish Inquisition, I think from Cordova, if I'm not mistaken. And later on, the family would actually travel and live in Venice over there. And I believe his Spanish family name was Alonso דה-הירירה, if I'm not mistaken. And many people will speak about his time period when he was younger. It's a very, very interesting topic. He was reported over, well, when he was young, in his youth, he acquired a broad general and philosophical education in Italy and would travel throughout Europe, and he was working in business, various different business sectors in of itself. Now, some people would have held that he was forced into conversion while he was in Italy at some point in time. There's different sources, different scholars will actually use what actually happened to him. And some people would say he returned to Judaism. It was reported that he would be held hostage or held captive, you could say. And maybe the family or him himself had it was difficult to keep the Judaism at that stage in time. It was reported of, I think, in July 1596 or something. He happened to be in Spain. Remember, he was well-traveled all around Europe, and he was disguised as someone that wasn't Jewish necessarily. And he went on a business trip, I think, for his uncle, Juan de Merchana, I believe was his name, who was an agent of the Sultan of Morocco over there. And I think at that point in time, and the English army that was headed by Robert de Broye, I think the Lord of Essex, it was reported over, raided that city and took 40 hostages, including דה-הירירה. It was reported that he would have been imprisoned in the Tower of London for 5-year period, and I think it would be the Sultan of Morocco would pay a large ransom for him to release him at that stage in time. So going by this, apparently he would return to Italy afterwards, where he would get married and continue various different business travels all throughout Europe during that time period in of itself. They actually say that when he was released after, I think the releasing of him came through diplomatic correspondence between Sultan and Queen Elizabeth I. It was reported over, would travel to Amsterdam, and various different scholars will give a different account to some degree within regards to what actually occurred in of itself. So he would travel all throughout Europe, go to Amsterdam. I think he would reach to Ragusa in Croatia, and he would meet the famous Kabbalist Rabbi Yisrael Strog, who happened to be one of the great rabbis, I think, who would spread the Torah and the Kabbalah, or the famous Arizal, Rabbi Luri Ashkenazi, all throughout Europe. And he introduced him to the Ari HaKadosh's Kabbalah over there. And it made a huge impression on him when they met on דה-הירירה, and he would, let's say, bring a decisive and contribution of the understanding of the teachings of Kabbalah through his philosophical mind, using that in of itself. I think come what the year 1620, he would settle permanently in Amsterdam, will start writing many different Torah works or different Kabbalistic works in of itself. And he would become with a prominent position of the Spanish-Portuguese community in Amsterdam, which was very thriving, I believe, at that point in time. And he would take many public positions there also. He would pass away in, according to one opinion, in Amsterdam. Someone said, I could see somewhere else, it might have been in Venice, in Vienna, in Austria, but very, very close in of itself. His funeral was attended by many, many different dignitaries, nobles, ministers, because you remember he had a close connection with the Sultan of Morocco, and was very, very famous in of itself, which we have to point out. So he would, many different Haggahots will be written, many different works included. I think many of it was written in Spanish originally, many of his works. I think, for example, the Beit Elohim and the Shara Hashemaya, which will deal with Kabbalah and philosophy, was originally printed in Spanish. I think many of them would later on be published in Hebrew by a student, Isaac Abhub de Voneska Seka, if I'm not mistaken, Amsterdam, 20 years after he passed away, in the year 1655. Now, among the works, which he said was, I'd say in Spanish also, Porta del Cielo, which was expounding, let's say, on the Kabbalistic doctrine on of itself, the Casa de Dios, which deals mainly with theories, let's just say, on various different Kabbalistic, on angels, Malachim in of itself. I think some of them remained unpublished, for the original centuries, and manuscripts were found in Etzchait, Amsterdam, and in the Royal Library of Holland, and were translated, as I said before, by Rabbi Isaac Aboab de Fonseca, which he said about before, who was a great Kabbalist writer, and he was one of the, let's say, the main Zkenim of the Spanish-Portuguese community in Amsterdam in himself, and it was published later on the Shara Shemaim, as we said before. Okay, there was disclosure, let's just say, on Kabbalah and religious themes of Judaism. It would brush into within regards to Christianity and Islam also, if I'm not mistaken. There was another topic, let's say, the Epistel on Shiur Okoma, which was a reconciliation between Kabbalah and philosophy, which we also have to do. And there was various other different teachings also, but he was a famous writer. Some people say that he didn't pass away in 1635. It might have been anywhere till the year 1639, but the tradition says it would have been on the 16th of Shvat when he passed away. So some people also, as we said before, hold that he passed away in the Netherlands, and some people say in Vienna, and which has to be entered. I believe it was translated in Hebrew because I think according to his will, he wants it to be translated into Hebrew at a later stage. And yes, there's different opinions on that, but please, you can research a lot more about him. There's a lot in many languages you can find. He was a very famous rabbi in his time. Much has been decorated around him, let's just say, within regards to his history. An important figure in Spanish, Portuguese, Jewish history in of itself. And the Netherlands, one of the most famous rabbis, you could say, from the Netherlands in Jewish history. We're a community here. We're learning about many of the rabbis of yesteryear. Over here, we experience a tiny bit of the life of Rabbi Abraham Cohen ben David דה-הירירה. Please subscribe to the channel. If you feel anyone will be interested in watching these videos, share the videos to other people. Also, I'm wishing you all blessings here from Israel. And watch over the previous videos. We've already covered about 750 videos now in this series over here. So wishing you all well and take care.